All right, good morning. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. We're going to want to talk about dividends, but before I do, let's go and look here at Marathon and Deere. Marathon here today, just not really doing much. It's been down slightly. It's been up slightly. There's just nothing going on. It is outperforming the energy group, the broader energy complex, slightly. But one of the things that's happened is the XLE has come back over the last about an hour and a half, and MRO has pretty much stayed flat. There's nothing really to react to with MRO. We talked about it Friday and then yesterday, kind of holding it. We're probably in it for another 4 or 5 days, as far as until it's going to really get back up into that 38 and a half, $40 area. Depending on, obviously how high it decides to go. This isn't really a bearish sell-off to say, okay, now we have a bearish trend. Could it result in that? Yeah, it could. But this is more emblematic of one of these types of sells back here in July, with the volumes and with what is going on broader market. So we'll continue it to hold here. Nothing to react to. We'll reevaluate it at the end of the day. But still holding. Nothing to react to. We don't really have time decay going against us or anything to that matter. It overreacted yesterday to the downside and then snapped back real fast. It could fill that shadow here tomorrow. Snap back on Friday and Monday, but 36 and a half, close below there. I would have to say enough's enough and move on. That's really where I would just not be comfortable at all. I'm pretty comfortable here with it, though it's been the last 3 days we've seen some red come in on it. Okay. The other one, Deere. Okay, and Deere pushed lower here this morning. Opened up slightly higher, pushed lower. It's bouncing off the 84 level. We talked about the 84 support. I mean, Deere's in a consolidation, and even down at 84 or 83.80 or 83.60, it's still in a bullish consolidation overall. We had some signs yesterday. We might get a breakout, come in sooner than later. So far, that hasn't happened. But there's absolutely nothing bearish in regards to Deere at all. In fact, even this small pullback continues to be very, very bullish here. I mentioned JCPenney was set up pretty nicely here. JCPenney had a nice little pullback after their earnings. Got a nice little bullish engulfing yesterday, moving back up into their earnings high. And it's very similar to Marathon and Deere. Okay, Marathon moves up on earnings, pulls back, goes back up to its earnings high, becomes a nice buy point. Okay, Deere jumps up on earnings, pulls back, jumps back up to the earnings levels, becomes a nice buy point. JCPenney's kind of doing something very similar here. Obviously, it's a pattern that I like, as you've kind of seen a little theme there. But JCPenney kind of has that same action there. All right, Apple. Yeah, Jake. Thanks for your comments here on Apple. Typically runs higher Monday, Tuesday, flat Wednesday, consolidates the trends to run down Thursday, Friday. Friday may be a better time to enter. ApplePay.com. Yeah, okay. I mean, Apple does have some of those tendencies, right? With those tendencies, though, keep in mind that when it decides to move and break out, it can really kind of destroy some of those tendencies. But right now, you're talking about a very nice trend rider breakout here today, and overall fantastic there. Yeah, Mike, looks like DE has to break the 200-day moving average. It does. It does, and we have the 200-day moving average here. Here's the one thing, and anytime we're looking at a major moving average like a 200 or a 50, I like to just slap it on a long-term chart and say, really, does anybody care? Does anybody care about the 200 here? Yeah, I mean, you can argue it's had a little bit of bearing a few times, but a lot of times with trading nowadays, the simple 200 to say this is going to be support or resistance or something like that, very difficult to do because most of what some of the fund managers and everybody else is doing out there, it doesn't really come into bear. Yeah, KM, MPAA. I love it, KM. You always throw nice tickers out here at me. Motorcar Parts of America, trend very strong here. You're up here around 18. It's not really moving right here. This one for me is a difficult one to want to enter here. This is more of a long-term trade type thesis. It's a fundamental trade, not a technical trade. And so it's one that there's nothing really bearish here. But hey, to see this thing pull back $3 in the midst of the uptrend would not be out of the realm of possibility. Okay. Some of you guys saw me chat about this last week. NVGC. Been asked a lot of questions on it. This is actually a buddy of mine sent this over to me. Said, hey, check it out. It goes up, and then what? It went down, 30 some odd percent to Friday. Bounced here 20% yesterday, up 7. It's a wild type of a ride, but those of you who like gambling a little bit, interesting one there. But just beware with MVGC and beware with any of these over-the-counter bulletin boards. And everybody's asked me about it. Said the same thing. Beware. These are subject to strong pump and dump schemes, and there are some emails circulating about it. So that the risk there is definitely high. Okay. No, absolutely, AK. Absolutely pump and dump. The one thing about pump and dump schemes, though, is they generally, and the reason I brought it up is because MPAA. This is one that was probably subject to very similar action way back when. They can tend to go higher. SBAC was kind of one of those pump and dump type things back in 2003. The stock's gone from was 2 pennies at one time, and now it's trading up around $80, somewhere in that area. So yeah, there's some interesting things that are going on. Yeah, you got another pump and dump SGDH. Okay. Yeah, and I was asked over the weekend if I'd ever trade things like this for the challenge, and the answer is no. I would not. Okay. All right, so we have Marathon, we have Deere, a lot of chatter about Apple and Google here today, doing very well, continuing to push higher, beautiful charts, both pushing into trend rider bulls on both these charts. They're absolutely fantastic. You can even get into something like Amazon, which is beautiful as far as its upside overall. And then you also have some of the other tech that isn't doing as well, but in certain pockets you have some nice things going on. Hewlett Packard is very interesting to me. Those of you who know me, I'd love to be short Hewlett Packard. Don't really have a chance here, but if we're going to start breaking 25 after this little uptick up to 25.5, would be set up very nice. Okay. Harry, great point. Facebook intraday reversal. Yep, absolutely. Yelp. Okay, same type of reversal here. LinkedIn, same type of reversal. And that's one of the things with these social medias is they're going to go up, they're going to go down, and the trend's probably going to be lower, but the snapbacks will be fast and furious. And we're even seeing some snapback here in Tesla, so they become tough trades. They become very, very tough trades. Okay. All right, let's go talk dividends here. If you'll bear with me, I talked a little bit longer than I expected, so I'm going to stop the recording and go and Um, Go and start a fresh recording for dividends. Do I think RAD has a reversal risk? No, not here. I don't think the reversal risk is very high at all. You're looking at Rite Aid, this type of move. This is you'll start hearing that fund managers are piling in, or the Carl Icahn of the world, those type of people. You'll start hearing that they're piling in on this type of a move. So I don't think you're looking at it. It's something with a heavy risk reversal to the downside. In fact, if you really kind of look at this from a technical standpoint, you're looking at about $7.50 to $8 as a price target on RAD. Yeah, Doc Chumps, you're right. The reason I didn't want to go after and short Facebook yesterday and the social media is because the reversal risk was so high. It just with these, you kind of have to be really fast on the trigger. So I either have to program a hard stop and profit target, or I have to really be comfortable that I'm able to maybe just put in what I'm willing to lose. And so even right here, if we were to get Facebook bounce up into the 46, 46 and a half area, I'd be really interested in shorting it up there. But I would have to have enough gains in the challenge that I could maybe put $1,000 on it. And hey, if it goes worthless, it goes worthless. If it does great, it does great. But only put in what I'm willing to lose. And I'm not at that position with the challenge at this point. One other thing about the challenge, and before I go and stop the recording and go over to dividends, one other thing about the challenge was asked. I was asked about whether 100,000 was realistic here, given the way we've started the challenge. Okay, and one of the things I want you to keep in mind: we start with 3,000. Okay, and the first double to 6,000 is the hardest double to get. Okay, that is the hardest part of the challenge. Is the first double. Okay, after that, um, it tends to get a little bit easier from a trade standpoint until we start to get up into the 50,000 range. Then it becomes a little tougher, just because there's some psychological things. You say, "Well, I'll trade it just the same." Well, not as tough. But one of the things that I always look at is it's going to take longer to go from 3 to 6 than it will to go from 6 to 12 or 12 to 24 historically. Okay, and one of the reasons with that is because I can't be as aggressive from 3,000 to 6. I have to find something like an MRO that can kind of work for us for a while. With the challenge we started in March, it was TLT that really got us off the ground. With the challenge last November, it was Apple that really got us off the ground. MRO has given us those signs of getting us off the ground. Has kind of come back. But MRO, we're able to cash out somewhere around 38.50. We get a nice little pop in Deer. We'll be in a position where, okay, maybe it takes 3-4 weeks to get that first double, but after that, our aggression level can go up, which then allows for the gains to come much quicker. Does it also, bring in more loss potential? Absolutely, but we're playing with gains at that point. So, as far as a schedule, would I like to be closer to 6 right now than 3? Sure. But as far as that affecting the ability for the challenge to work, no, not at all. Okay? Not at all. Yeah, KM, I'd love it. Yeah, we'll wish it were that easy, right? All right. Well, let me stop this recording here, and let's go talk dividends.